Hey guys, it's Holly. So today I just wanted to sit down and have, I guess, like a little brainstorm slash discussion about when and how I think LEGO may make Gringotts in the future. Unfortunately, the rumor came out the other day that the D2C is supposed to be a sort of like Hogwarts Express slash station type of build. I honestly feel like it could be something like the motorized Hogwarts Express from 2004, because I feel like at that price point, that's sort of, justifies it. Same with like having train tracks and all of that. So unfortunately, it's looking like it's not going to be Gringotts this year, which sucks. I mean, it's just a rumor, things could change. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to take that rumor and assume that that's correct and just talk about what I think could happen. Now, undoubtedly, there is a ton of demand for Gringotts. It just didn't make sense to me, at least, like releasing Diagon Alley and not having Gringotts Bank, which is iconic and definitely one of the most famous buildings, I feel like, alongside Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, and just not including it in that set. I feel like it's definitely going to happen at some point, and especially now with LEGO releasing the Ministry of Magic set and that being Deathly Hallows themed, I have hope more now than ever that I feel like this set could happen and be Deathly Hallows themed when it does too, which is incredibly exciting. Now, I've said this a couple of times, but Gringotts to me is like my LEGO Harry Potter equivalent of like what Commander Cody is to LEGO Star Wars fans. It's something that a lot of people really want. It's something that people are asking for, and just constantly it doesn't seem to happen. I mean, at least in Gringotts' case, I think it's a lot more likely and is a lot more prominent, I guess, in the franchise than Commander Cody. Does that mean that I don't want a Commander Cody figure? Absolutely not. But Gringotts appears in several films and plays a really dominant part in the story, particularly in Deathly Hallows. So I guess it makes a lot of sense for LEGO to make a product like that. Now, with a lot of people's predictions for the 2022 wave, people talked a lot about expansions for Diagon Alley. That set is giant and gives a lot of expansion opportunity just in the way that the buildings are designed. Everything being one individual building, having Technic pieces, being able to connect, opens up a wide range of potential, not even just for Gringotts, but also for Nocturne Alley, having that little archway with the sign pointing down. There is a lot of opportunity and potential here that I feel like could potentially be taken up. And one of the main routes that I feel like LEGO might go down in order to give fans Gringotts could be another, I guess, like Diagon Alley set. Now, I know people also talk about like the micro scale Hogwarts getting an expansion. Personally, I don't ever see that happening. I don't think it would make sense for LEGO as a brand to sell like half of Hogwarts that isn't like the iconic silhouette. Like the way the Hogwarts micro scale castle works so well is because it's got the Great Hall, it's got the Great Tower, it's just got all of the iconic shapes and like silhouettes that you'd expect. If you did an expansion to that, it's not going to have any of that. I don't think it would sell well on its own. Diagon Alley, however, because they've left out Gringotts in the original set, I think an expansion would work incredibly well, because Diagon Alley, I guess, would be that main centerpiece. It would sort of be the wow factor that I guess Ollivanders and Weasley's Wizard Wheezes are in the original set. You could also as well have some Nocturne Alley buildings similar to the original Diagon Alley where you had Gringotts and Borgin and Burkes. You could do that again and have like a modular style Borgin and Burkes, maybe a couple of other stores, or even just some of those like other Diagon Alley buildings that exist in things like the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Universal Orlando. There's a ton of buildings there, and even just on like the main Diagon Alley strip, I feel like one prominent one that is quite common is Madame Malkin's. I mean, there's also Elop's Isle Emporium, which to me I don't think is quite as popular. Then again, we do have Scribblus in the original set, so you never know what is possible. But I feel like in a set like that as well, there is a lot of potential for minifigures, setting it especially in terms of like Half-Blood Prince as well as Deathly Hallows, and I guess sort of like the older year groups would be amazing for minifigures. You've got one set that really focuses, I guess, on the sort of like Chamber of Secrets, and then of course you've got the Weasley twins from the Half-Blood Prince. But if you did Gringotts and if you had like Nocturne Alley buildings, you could make it more of like a Half-Blood Prince, like everyone's going and stalking Draco sort of thing, as well as like Escape from Gringotts, sort of tied in with the ride and like how it's set up at Universal. Like that's a very prominent thing, but also it's a very iconic moment from the films that I feel like would be very fun to get in set form. I also imagine that if this set did come out, it would be more of an 18+ set in line with the Hogwarts icons rather than Diagon Alley, even though Diagon Alley did release during the period where LEGO had started doing those 18+ adults welcome sets. Now, while I don't think that this is the ideal way to release Gringotts, I definitely think it is the most likely in terms of LEGO as a business and, you know, making money. There is a very clear demand for Gringotts, and I imagine they can probably see that people would be desperate to go and get that set and complete their street. So by putting that building in a much larger set with a larger price tag, is going to make them more money. They're going to be selling a bigger product, they're going to make more money off of it, and for them, it's a huge win. I mean, I know that they've spoken about not putting exclusive figures behind expensive sets. They still do it. I mean, look at the golden figures from Harry Potter. I just feel like that was something that was said in order to, I don't know, justify some decisions. To me, I mean, just looking at LEGO from like a business standpoint, to them, it's definitely going to make sense to put Gringotts in a set with a ton of other Diagon Alley buildings, because people are going to go out and buy both of those sets in order to have the street. There definitely will be some people who may pick one over the other, but at least in my case, I would definitely be buying two, and I imagine there's a lot of fans that would want to buy two and probably save up and try and do so. However, I think the ideal option is making Gringotts its own sort of standalone set. It can still be a direct-to-consumer set, but just at a much lower price tag. Harry Potter keeps getting some of the most expensive direct-to-consumer sets that exist in like the LEGO market, and I think it's a bit ridiculous that they are all super expensive. Like, I look at Star Wars and you've got like the really expensive like 1,000 Australian dollar UCS sets, but then you've also got things like the A-Wing and the upcoming Luke's Land Speeder, which are a lot more friendly at around $300. Like, something in that lower price range, like even the ones that Nintendo has, would be really nice. I guess the Hogwarts Icons was that price point, I guess. It would really be nice to get another one of them in the style of Gringotts. Would be fantastic. That way as well, the building can go on its own, and if you bought Diagon Alley and only really care for Gringotts, you could go out and buy that set and it would be perfect. It would be really cool as well if in that like release year, you could then get the Ukrainian Iron Belly, whether it be like one of those like display pieces that they've done recently as like the buildable creatures, or even just like an actual play set that you could pair with that larger set. That I feel like is the ideal situation, but I think it's a lot less likely. Either way though, how I feel like Gringotts could happen can go one of two ways. You're either going to focus it on the Philosopher's Stone and sort of like young Harry's introduction, or you're going to go the route that myself and a lot of other people seem to want most, and that is the Deathly Hallows route. Now to me, that's definitely a lot more appealing, and I think would work a lot better, I guess, from LEGO's marketing standpoint. Like, they do sell LEGO at some of the Universal gift shops outside of the park on the City Walk, so having this giant set for sale at the theme park in Orlando would be a really big win. If you can go in there, ride the Gringotts ride, see the dragon spitting fire, see the entire street, and then walk out at the City Walk and you see this LEGO set that resembles that, it's gonna be a really big win, especially if it's not too big and people can still bring it home. Like, I know a lot of people would probably go and want to get the Disney train or like the Disney Castle from Walt Disney World in Orlando, but those sets are giant, like it's very hard to bring them back. I feel like if Gringotts is a bit of a smaller D2C, it's a bit more realistic, especially if you're a domestic traveler. For myself, it's never happening. That way as well, you could have Harry with his invisibility cloak, you could have two of the goblins, one of which being Griphook, you could have Hermione and Ron in their disguises, maybe a couple of other goblin workers as well would be pretty neat, and that would be a pretty good set. I feel like at a smaller D2C scale, you don't really need that many minifigures, and at the end of the day, they are there to complement the design of the building. It'd be really cool if you could get the dragon and the Gringotts building in one, but I'm also kind of doubting it. I feel like that would require a higher price point. So for the sake of, I guess, this brainstorm, let's kick the dragon out, make it its own separate set, and just have the Gringotts building and probably even like the Gringotts vault that you could like open up the building potentially as well, sort of modify of what the original Diagon Alley thing had. Since this is sort of like a corner building, you could even have it in like an L shape and then have like a vault that you could open up, and on the inside you've got a ton of gold and you've got a custom molded Hufflepuff cup. That would be extra cool. Do I think that's gonna happen? Absolutely not, but we're just brainstorming here. Then on the other hand, you have the Philosopher's Stone, and in this case, you would probably have like two vaults. You could have Harry's vault, which just has like piles of golden studs on top of each other to represent the money. Then you could also have Vault 713, where you've got the little Philosopher's Stone wrapped up in a little package. I imagine that's probably going to be like a printed piece or something. You could have Griphook again, a couple of other goblins, Hagrid. They'd probably reuse the Harry as well from the other Diagon Alley set, which would be equally annoying as I guess it would be cool. But like besides that, I can't really think of any other minifigures, which is why I do feel like it's more realistic to get Deathly Hallows. If you asked me last year, Philosopher's Stone would have been the way to go, but there is clear, I guess, demand and desire. Like the designers seem to want to make these sets, the fans and customers want to buy them, and I feel like the designers have taken that, or whoever is pitching the ideas to like the team, whoever's in charge of that basically is seeing that and is taking that feedback and applying it, which is fantastic. And I really wish a lot of other themes would do that too, but that's a different conversation for another day. Thank you to the Harry Potter team, every single one of you involved, for listening to the feedback and applying it. It's noted and it's being noticed, and we're very appreciative. So then there's a third option, which I feel like no one really wants at all, and that is for there to be a playset Gringotts. Now, I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. I mean, the Gringotts building from the original Diagon Alley is absolutely gorgeous. It's the one reason besides Fred and George that I always wanted that set, and I'm still very excited for that set. I think it was an amazing scale. I think it was an amazing building, incredibly accurate, incredibly detailed, at least from the exterior, and I wouldn't be opposed to getting a playset Gringotts, but I also feel like it's something that should exist alongside a bigger one that matches Diagon Alley, especially if we're not going to do a couple of other smaller Diagon Alley buildings. I feel like that could be an interesting concept for like 2023 or 2024 waves of LEGO Harry Potter sets, but for now, as much as like playset Gringotts is a possibility, I really hope that that isn't the case. I mean, I would be disappointed. I would still be excited, I imagine, but I feel like it would be a big letdown and potentially feel as well like a smack to the face, just because of how much talk and hype and discussion and desire there has been for a Gringotts that matches Diagon Alley. I guess them doing like a playset Gringotts would be like sort of the equivalent of like going from like the 2018 to 2020 like Hogwarts builds and then like switching to the modular builds. Like you still want to put them together, but they don't quite match up because like the scale is off, the design's different, the roof colors are wrong, like that sort of thing. That's what I feel like would kind of happen there. So that is how I think that Gringotts would be done. I'm definitely leaning towards, like, more realistically, I think it's going to be a giant set, and I think it's going to be Deathly Hallows themed, probably include Borgin and Burke's, maybe one other building. I don't think they do a full 4 again, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. However, I definitely would just want it on its own. But in terms of when I think Gringotts could be coming, I mean, ideally, I want to say 2023 in summertime, because Harry Potter has gone from, like, releasing D2Cs, like, every couple of years to now one a year. I thought the Hogwarts Icons last year was going to be like a one-off, considering it's the 20th anniversary, and then we'd probably get a break this year. I mean, if they're selling well, I can't see why LEGO wouldn't want to make more D2Cs and make it like an annual thing, sort of like Star Wars does with UCS sets constantly dropping like on May the 4th and then one in August. So I can see potentially it being a possibility next year. However, I don't want to put my money on it because I feel like they are trying to be quite adventurous. I mean, if the rumors of the Hogwarts Express are true, I feel like that really cements it. So I personally want to go for like September, October 2024, even though next year would be absolutely lovely. I mean, the sooner the better. I'm pretty sure as well it's like the 10-year anniversary of Deathly Hallows this year. Did that movie come out in 2012? I think it did. I know one of them was 2011. Surely it's 2012. I mean, 10-year anniversary would have been perfect. I don't think it's happening though. I mean, I feel like we need to sort of see how the next wave of summer sets comes out. I mean, it'd be really cool if we got like Xenophilius Lovegoods Mansion and maybe 1 or 2 more Deathly Hallows sets. I think that would really cement what's gonna happen. But I'm gonna put my money on 2024. If it doesn't happen by then, I'm gonna be a bit concerned. But those are just my thoughts on when and how we are going to get Gringotts. Let me know all of your theories in the comments down below, and I really hope as well that you appreciated all of the Gringotts mocks that I found on Google Images. They're not made by me, but they are really talented, and I love looking at all of these different models. The one by Blockwarts is my favorite, using like the Star Wars planet as like the roof. I absolutely love that one. And if the actual set looks anything like these models, I will be one happy bunny. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments down below, and also what minifigures you would love to see in a Gringotts. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel down below, as I will be reviewing the entire Harry Potter summer wave very shortly, and I am incredibly excited for that. So stay tuned, and until next time guys, I'll see you later.